Welcome to Cooking the Books, the food and hospitality podcast discussing all aspects of the industry. We interview chefs, butchers, farmers, brewers, winemakers, restaurateurs, restaurant managers, and we talk about how they got to this point, through the good times and the bad. We discuss what motivates them every day and what they've got planned for the future. This is Cooking the Books. This week on Cooking the Books, we're very lucky to have Tim Chapallaz, the head butcher and charcutier at City Larder, and he's going to explain his journey through the hospitality industry, starting from being a butcher to then working in a restaurant, cafe, steakhouse, Chinese style restaurant. It's an interesting story of just the journey you can take. So yeah, here we go, very first episode. Tim Chapallaz.
Hello, nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, you're here. Very first ever episode. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been working with food and for about the past 12 years. Started when I was about 16 as a clean-up boy in a butcher shop.
Beautiful.
From there I sort of did butcher's apprenticeship, cooking apprenticeship, worked around, done a few bits and pieces for myself. And yeah.
So you did a butcher's apprenticeship?
Yep.
For how long?
That's a 4-year apprenticeship, and I stayed on another 2 years after that.
Was that 1 day a week at college? Or, it's TAFE, isn't it? 1 day a week at TAFE, or was that? How did it work?
That one you did all on the job training. Apart from you had 4 2-week blocks, and that was it. You just had to go in and.
So you went to a TAFE school?
Yeah.
For 4 weeks. 4 weeks?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
Per year?
Per year, yeah.
In 2-week blocks?
Yep, and then that was it. Only for 2 years I did that, and then that's it. It's only 8 weeks of schooling all up.
Far out, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's quick.
But you have to be in a job, right?
Yeah, you have to be in a job, that's right.
And to finish the first year, so you couldn't just could you go and do like 4 weeks and that's it? Or you have to be doing like adding up the hours or adding up the shifts, or how does it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you have to be in the job to be qualified. You have to do your time, yeah.
Yeah. And does the employee have to sign you off, or?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so he's going to say you're competent in a few bits and pieces.
So how would that work? Would you pick like I don't know? Would he say, you go in knowing nothing? I'm guessing, right? You just know fuck all.
I knew,
Zero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you fucking first one is like make sure you don't chop your fucking hands off. But once then what will he do? Is there like a curriculum or something that you're working alongside? Like, do you do pork and then beef or chicken? I don't know. How does it work? Or is it just like jump in there, get stuck in, and he'll just sign you off as and when?
Pretty much sign off as and when. There wasn't really many barriers. It's
no structure.
No, not really. It was pretty cruisy, but I was a pretty good worker, so I suppose it was probably half the reason I didn't have any trouble. I was always really keen to get in there. I always thought it was like a really awesome skill. I remember when I was about 16, and I remember seeing them bring the pork up from downstairs and like just breaking into it, and so like just seamlessly taking it apart, and I just thought, that looks, like that's a skill.
It's definitely a skill.
It looks like really cool. So and then
it's amazing when you first see like there's no blood. Well, there's not much, especially on the pork and that. There's not blood pissing out everywhere, and you think it's an animal. When you're young, when I first seen that, I thought, like, where's all the blood? Like, do you know what I mean?
It's actually quite far removed from the pigs in the bone.
Exactly. So, and you said there that you were, you were really keen and working and all that. How were you at school prior to that? Because your school, it's only like a few years, maybe for some people a week or 2 weeks, or even like a year removed from school. You've gone from school to straight into a job, from kids to men. Do you know what I mean? So, how were you at school?
Terrible.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, at home watching Animal Planet, smoking billies with my mates. Yeah.
Not interested.
It wasn't for me.
Isn't it amazing though? So you've gone from school that you're not interested in,
to
a job that you are interested in. All of a sudden, that you're a good worker, and like, so you're bunking off school and that. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then to work, like, obviously I've worked with you for a long time, and you never miss a day. It takes a lot for you to miss a day. So therefore, it's. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. everyone around me could see the huge change that work made for me
personally.
Yeah, made me a better human being.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. So that was the butchers. So you were there all up 4 years, is that right?
4 years.
4 years,
and
2 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
2 and 2. So once you did your apprenticeship, did you get a bit more free rein, or is it still training?
It was really always learning. You're always learning, aren't you? You never think, I've finished. I've learnt everything.
You would think it'd be a little bit, and I'm not being disrespectful to butchers. Obviously, there's other things, but breaking down a pig is breaking down a pig. That's what you would think, wouldn't you?
Well, you would think that, but then like it's like a samurai. Like you can only get better at your craft and like
faster, more efficient.
Learn a different way to do it.
Yeah. Like there's a French way, there's the American way, there's the German way.
I've heard some crazy stories about some amazing butchers.
Yeah. And what is it generally? Is it speed, or is it like knife skills, or is it just all of it?
One story I heard, I don't know if this is true, but my boss told me about an ambidextrous butcher. And he would break down the left side of the beef with his left hand and the right side with his right hand.
Well, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is there Ronnie O'Sullivan? Do you know him?
No.
He's a snooker player, world class snooker player, honestly. And I think he's got the fastest 147, which is the maximum break in snooker. And he can play with both hands. And if he's like bored, he'll like swap out. It's it's so disheartening for these opponents.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Just getting smashed and he's not even using his...
Exactly, it's crazy. That's amazing. Yeah, and so obviously you must have learned some skills there, sausages as well, bacon, ham, these kind of skills.
Exactly, yeah.
Beautiful. So you did that, and then you got the bug for restaurants, right? Is that did cooking. You? Or just cooking?
Cooking, I've always sort of loved eating and like I cook for my family, cook dinner and stuff, and I just thought it was a great way to expand my skill set.
Having the base of a butcher.
Yeah, having the base. And I always thought I'd go back to butchery, but I probably, cooking, I fell in love with it, so I sort of decided to go more in that direction.
So you went to Rockpool, right?
Yeah.
We worked together at Rockpool.
Exactly, yeah.
So you come to Rockpool, and you did your full apprenticeship at Rockpool, right?
I did, yeah.
What was it? What did you find the benefits? Because that's, I wouldn't say it's rare, but generally people would jump around in an apprenticeship. Really, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't got that much experience with it over here, but in England you would generally jump. It's a bit of a different setup anyway, I guess. But I would have thought you'd do maybe a year and a half. A year, maybe 2 years max, and then maybe do your third or your fourth year at another joint. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of what the gist that I got. And we did get a few of them at Rockpool.
Absolutely, yeah, you did.
But what was it that made you stay there the whole time?
Well, for one, I can't help it, but I'm pretty loyal to wherever I work. Like I always, I really care about the workplace, and I really feel that if I leave, I'd be missed, and I hate letting the team down, look, the teamwork and the camaraderie and the brothership that you get in the kitchen is one of the things that I love about it. So
yeah. So you just felt quite loyal.
Exactly. And the other thing, I think, if you stay at a place a bit longer, you get the opportunity to do the harder sections, like the pasta and then the grill and the fish, and you can learn a lot at that place, because there was, sometimes 20 chefs or whatever, so always heaps to learn from, and there was a lot of change in staff, so it's not like I ever really stopped learning. I was always pursuing knowledge while I was there. So
that's a good way of thinking about it, actually. Like people get trust in you, and you do get to do more of the, like, what did you said, like more where the senior guys would generally be the fish and the meat and the grill or whatever. But because they trust you, where if you're just swapping and changing, I guess that's...
You may not always get that.
Rockpool was good for that, to be fair, because it was so big, and it had the fish room, it had the meat room, it had the pasta section, it had the grill, had the, so it was quite diverse in a lot of ways, in that sense. I can get it. So, tell us a little bit about Rockpool. How did you find it? How did you fit in?
Well, I first really started hearing about Rockpool. I met the Rockpool butcher. His name was Hans. I knew he was working there, and I talked to him a bit about it while he came and visited us in the butcher shop. and yeah, I was just really interested in that, so I thought I'll go do a trial. I actually had glandular fever, so I was off for 6 weeks. I was pretty sick, and then I was at home thinking a lot, and I thought, you know what?
You hadn't started, you hadn't had your notice, and you just had a bit of free time.
Yeah.
Well, not free time, you were sick, and you were just contemplating what you're going to do with your future.
Exactly, and then I'm like, I'm just going to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
So then I told my boss I was doing a trial and got the job.
So how did you go about getting the job?
Just put my resume in. Remember
not through anyone, or you just literally just posted it, or emailed it, or posted it, whatever you did.
Posted it off on Job Seeker or whatever.
Oh, were they looking for jobs? Were they?
Yeah, they were looking for jobs. Okay, they had an ad up, and and I remember the head chef told me, Paul Iso, he said, we got to get this guy, he's a butcher, so kind of worked out. Their butcher was going on holidays, so it was quite a handy skill that I had. It gave me the edge over, I suppose, other people they would have interviewed. I suppose no kitchen experience.
So then you come along. I bet it was a bit, you've come to do cooking, but there's a butchery section. You probably were you a bit like, I hope I don't just get dumped in there up for the, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty tempting.
Yeah.
Do you know, even though it's a one-man team, really, isn't it, down there?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, so was it on your mind, or you just knew you wanted to just do the cooking?
I really mainly just wanted to. I was happy to have a look at the butchery, but I was really keen to do the cooking. I actually thought, I've made a mistake here. It was hard at first. Everything was so hot. And
the cooking?
Yeah, it was hard.
So from being a bit older, a bit more mature, and then coming into cooking and having a skill already, and then starting back to square one effectively. How was that? Was it, you just done your apprenticeship and you just got out, you just qualified, you've done 2 years, it's all good and well, now it's back down to zero. Do you know, like, that must have been quite a jump, do you know what I mean?
It was a huge jump.
Financially and hierarchy-wise, you know what I mean? You're back to the bottom. Was it all right? No problem?
No, I think it was all right. You've got to give a little to get a little, I thought, well, I'm getting something back. You're getting a skill, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're making yourself more employable. If you want to do your own business or do your own thing one day, I mean, the more skills you've got behind you, the better.
And is there any good services? Can you remember any good services? Or even any bad services?
I had some terrible services there.
Any good ones? Do you remember any good ones?
I had some great ones. I mean, having a blast out the back. Literally as fast as the dockets were coming in, I was just smashing the food out. I really enjoyed it most of the time.
It's an animal, that place.
Yeah.
It's an animal. For sure. And then you left there and you went to Spice Temple, right?
That's right.
So you've gone from butchery to let's just call it what it is. It's like a steakhouse, Australian style upmarket steakhouse with great fish and a great produce driven restaurant, to now like a modern Australian Chinese restaurant, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So how was that? That again, that's a big change, different flavors. You're going from olive oil and lemon juice to friggin' rice wine vinegar and soy, basically, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit in Szechuan and all these new flavors. Like, you learn to taste in the Western way, I guess, garlic. I don't even know, obviously garlic's in the Chinese, but just that Western style, bay leaves, rosemary, thyme, tomato, these kind of flavors, mirepoix, this kind of stuff. To then go into master stocks and white braise and Szechuan and all these different things, to be able to taste through that, obviously in Western cooking, you're tasting through things. Like when you taste a sauce or whatever, you're trying to find different layers within that flavour. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Where obviously it's the same in Asian cooking, but when you're starting from zero, not even having, not culturally, nothing. Was that a challenge?
It was a challenge. It was also very delicious. I couldn't put down the food at Spice Temple. It was awesome. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge, and I really wanted to get on the woks. That was one thing that I really wanted to learn. I thought that looks cool. Watching the guys who are really good on the woks, flipping the food up in the air, two-handed, using their wok spoon and the wok in sync. Really cool. So yeah, it was great fun learning all that, and There's some great guys down at Spice Temple who were really good.
Yeah.
Showing me a few bits and pieces.
And what's the and what would you say, like the style of service? Because it's not really the same as like the steakhouse, or the Western way, where it's like entree, main, dessert, or pre-start, amuse-bouche, or entree, however many ever courses. It's just kind of, it's a bit more fire it, small plates, kind of just fire it out kind of thing, right? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, exactly the way it works. Yeah, food comes out sort of slowly. Generally the kitchen will have some say in if they want to send something out first, and the waiters are pretty good at helping to organise that and putting it through in a good order for us to send it out in. And then,
what is a good order? What would be a good order?
You get your pickles first, and then maybe your cold salady stuff, and then maybe a pork bows or dumplings, and then maybe like your fried rice and whatever main you want, your black bean beef or your kung pao chicken or whatever.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Also, I'm starving.
And then
But again, there a lot of fresh seafood, wasn't there? You've got the tanks there
beautiful
as well.
Crabs and lobsters.
Yeah. So it's like all that modern stuff. So even though the flavours and that might have been different, some of the techniques will have still been the same. Like killing the lobster, brutal as it might sound, or shucking the abalone, or these kind of things that you learn at Rockpool. The skills are still
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And it helps you pick it up quite quick
because of the skills you've got.
Because of the span, like using the deep fryer, or safety around pans and stuff like that.
Safety. Yeah, you forget about all that kind of thing, to be fair. But that's awesome. So then, how long were you there for?
9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
No, that pretty short stint.
Yeah, pretty short.
You'd already been in the group for how long? Like at Rockpool, you were for how long were you there?
Just over 4 years.
4 years. So it's like 5 years in the group, and you start getting a bit. Yeah, I get it.
Pretty keen to stop working nights. It's for my relationship, and I was with my partner.
Just got with her when you started at Spice.
About then. Yeah.
And then obviously there's pressure, isn't there? That's the problem. Big problem with the industry is it's the unsociable hours, basically. That's the
absolutely.
That is a big problem. But again, one of the sacrifices you've got to make if you want to be in the restaurant business. In the restaurants. So then you decided to go and work at Oscar Cooper.
Yeah, that's right. The cafe.
The cafe. And again, what was the difference? How was that? How did that differ again?
Oh well, that was a whole new set of challenges. Poaching eggs and like getting up early, and like the service comes in so hard and fast and for so long. Like I went from doing a 5-hour service at Rockpool, like sort of 5 or 6 hours, to 10-hour service.
10-hour service.
Yeah. So sometimes you could get in the morning and you get there at 6:30. Service starts at 7. You have to set up the kitchen and start putting out food for 7, and then sometimes it didn't stop till 4. So it was a long.
It's a marathon.
It was. You had to concentrate for a long time.
Yeah, you don't think of it like not like 2 teams or anything along. There's not. It's just one team. One team.
That's right. It's only
10 hours.
Yeah, 10 hours. Because sometimes it's only 2 guys, and like you can change, but then sometimes like it's harder. It's kind of harder to change because you might have stuff in a different spot,
or whatever,
or halfway through the prep and just jumping in. Like you waste an hour just trying to catch up to what each other have been doing.
Yeah. So, what's your tips on poaching eggs?
Oh, lots of vinegar.
Is that the go?
Yeah, that's the go.
Lots of vinegar.
Plenty of vinegar.
Room temperature. Jimmy, the chef at Rockpool, he worked at a cafe. He did his apprenticeship at a cafe, and he was saying room temperature eggs. That's a good one. That's a good tip. I use that now. Make sure the eggs aren't too cold. What other one did he had a few. He had a few little tips at Jimmy. He was good at poaching eggs. Jimmy.
Nice and fresh.
Yeah, nice and fresh. Room temperature. Good water. The induction's really good for them. The induction was awesome. He was showing that. Yeah. Poaching eggs. Fucking hell. But you poach the eggs to order here, right?
Yeah, poach the eggs to order. So it'd be like up to sort of 20 eggs at once. And then you'd sort of put your timer on. You get the plates ready. Get the garnishes ready.
How many minutes?
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah, and then the guy in the grill would be cooking all your bacon and you'd be frying all the hash cakes and potato rosties and stuff. pass it over to you. You put all your toast down, put all your garnish down, put the eggs on, put them on the pass, ring the bell, drop another 20 eggs.
Jesus. And then what's it like in the cafes when they're like, you know, I'm bad for this as well. When I do it, I cringe a little bit. I'm like, oh, can I take this, but can I add smoked salmon and black pudding and salted mushrooms? Oh, and I'll take some spinach. Do you know what I mean? And the docket must come through super long, and you're like, you've ordered really your scrambled eggs off the menu, and the rest of it's just you made it up yourself. That must be a frigging nightmare.
A lot of reading.
I'd go down.
Some dockets.
I would go down like a sack of shit, I swear to God.
I got pretty good at it. I think you kind of get to a point where, because you've seen the combination so many times, I could just start glancing at dockets and I would process without even reading it almost sometimes.
Yeah, that's how I get through life, to be totally honest. Look at it, don't really process it, and just have a guess, have a dig at what it is. So you left the cafe and you come and started working at City Larder with me and doing charcuterie. So let's just go. It's almost back to the beginning. Not nearly. It's, you know, it's. You would say charcuterie is like it's like French butcher. You know, it's you know, in that sense. I'm not saying it's a butcher's job. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's a totally different set of skills. But it's kind of like cousins.
They are definitely like cousins, you know, and a lot of butchers would make pate and and would do trim pork shoulders and bone chickens and there's quite an overlap. I'm working for a good chef, so everything's quite refined. It's all quite chefy. So which like a few things that like butchers wouldn't do, like using the bay leaves and the fresh thyme and infusing things, cold infusion, using good techniques to make the food the best it can be.
Exactly.
Good values.
But again, all that you take a little bit from everything, right?
Exactly,
do you know what I mean? Like the 10-hour service, which sounds really brutal in the cafe, which it definitely is brutal, but now you're working at it's a bit like the butcher shop and the City Larder doing the charcuterie, because that's just like a 10-hour prep day. Or it's not service. Service is a lot harder than prep mentally and even physically. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it isn't, but it's still a 10-hour task. Do you know what I mean? You don't take any breaks. It's just a big push. So you're still concentrating, and you don't even have that break. Like in the restaurant, you still have the big service hard. You have the push. It's just different as well. It's all bits and bobs if you think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like you've had the refine of maybe the rock pools trained you this, and the butchers trained you that, and then the cafe, and then you bring it all together. I guess that's how it works, right? That's how it's kind of worked for you.
Exactly, yeah, that is how it works. How it's worked, yeah.
So what I want to do, we'll finish off this, but I want to ask a few questions. What's your favourite cookbook?
What's my favourite cookbook? Thinking about this now. Probably all the ones that I've got from probably my Spice Temple and my Rockpool ones. They're all signed and everything.
Oh yeah, you like them?
Yeah, I really like them, and I just reminiscing about the good times I had. Yeah, and they've got all lots of signatures from my mates.
Oh, when you left, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. You get a free book. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Probably. Yeah.
They're your favourites.
Yeah.
What's a staple in your fridge?
Ooh,
at home?
Burgers.
Homemade burger
fridge freezer, yeah.
Yeah, get it.
Burgers in it, yeah.
What's your best ever meal?
Best ever meal? That I've cooked?
No, the best meal you've had at a restaurant.
Oh.
Doesn't have to be the best restaurant, but the best meal.
Oh, that's a tough one. Maybe, gotta say, the pork jowl and abalone at Key was unbelievable.
Key's your best meal?
I think so, yeah.
Fair enough. Cracking spot, and there's no two ways about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Favourite chef?
Gotta go with Jamie Oliver. He's a fucking wizard.
Jamie Oliver. Well, on that note, Jamie Oliver, you win the prize, mate. Mm-hmm. You win the prize. Till next time. Big thanks for Tim for taking the time this week. This week's episode was brought to you by City Larder, the charcuterie specialists specialising in terrine, pâté and rillettes to retail markets as well as food service. If you enjoyed this week's podcast, please share, like, review on the usual platforms to help spread the word. Until next time, this is Cooking the Books.